Industry Minister Donville Innes has launched a scathing attack on the trade union movement in Barbados. He says the island cannot move forward with what he has described as a reckless trade union movement. Commenting specifically on the go-slow at the island's ports of entry, he says the situation is frustrating for both locals and visitors. Mr. Innes claims the situation involving the president of the National Union of Public Workers, Akani McDowell, is no longer an administrative one, but one of politics. He says he sought unsuccessfully to intervene in the dispute.
So, Mr. Speaker, as I called the president of UPW on the weekend, I said to him, I want an opportunity to speak to your members at your office, at the UPW headquarters, because this is now a political matter. This is about administration. This is pure politics, and I'm a politician. He said he can't allow that. I said I'm going to ask permission for the police to hold a public meeting outside the UPW headquarters, if that is what it takes. Because the truth of the matter, Mr. Speaker, I know I can tell my share now, but the truth of the matter is that I am not going to sit here as we celebrate the 50th year of independence and have Barbados brought to a screeching halt by a bunch of irresponsible trade union leaders who are purely about practicing their partisan politics.
Minister Innes was speaking during the resumption of debate on the passing of a resolution for Parliament to congratulate Barbados on the attainment of its 50th anniversary of independence. On that issue, Mr. Innes says the discussion about becoming a republic must take place as we should all break ties with the British monarchy.
Of course, there are those who will say, well, how does that benefit the economy? How does that benefit the people? It creates a greater sense of pride in nationhood. There are those who will say, well, if you do that, the British are going to stop coming here. I have never met anybody from UK who concerns themselves with whether the Queen is at the state of Barbados or if a republic with their own president. That is simply not the case. But it sends, Mr. Speaker, a strong message to this country and to future generations that we are in control, pretty much. That we are proud enough and we reached that point in our journey where a Barbadian can now be the ultimate leader of this country and not someone located thousands of miles away in Buckingham Palace or elsewhere.
The Barbados Water Authority's effort to bring an efficient water supply to residents plagued by prolonged outages has hit a snag, albeit temporarily. And as the corporate communications specialist Joyanne Haig explains, this time it's due to another service provider.
It appears to be a power outage by Streetville borehole number 2 caused by a damaged transformer that is now being investigated. The system obviously now will be down because there's no electricity in that area. And then, of course, no water will be pumped from Streetville to Castle Grant, causing levels to drop. When the levels drop, customers in parts of St. Joseph, St. John, St. Thomas, and St. Andrew who rely on that system may experience an outage or low water levels. BLMP, they've been notified, and as soon as that problem is rectified, normal service should resume later in the day.
A fisherman is calling on government to give divers some level of concession as they help to eradicate the deadly lionfish from the island's waters. Kamal Abdul-Jabbar, who is also a commercial diver, says legislation should be put in place to assist divers in this regard.
It's very dangerous and they're more prolific than ever, and they're just destroying the reef. Like how you give a concession, like how they give a concession on the African snail, they should give the divers concession on spearfishing equipment to help us to, help eradicate the lionfish from our shores.
Mr. Abdul-Jabbar was speaking during the 3rd annual Barbados Lionfish Derby hosted by the Barbados Lionfish Project at Pirates Cove. There, divers attempted to see who could kill the most lionfish. Marine biologist and fisheries consultant Nicholas Simpson says the size and sex of every fish was also noted. She says the point of the derby is to encourage as many people as possible to go out and kill the lionfish.
Lionfish are an invasive species that entered Barbados waters in about November 2011, and they are a big problem because they reproduce very quickly and they live very long, and they're eating a lot of our reef fish.
A push is on to foster the spirit of entrepreneurship among women. This from Audrey Padmore of the Crystal Padmore Foundation. Mr. Padmore was speaking at the Women Trauma Addiction Seminar, a collaboration by the Drug Rehabilitation Center, Marina House, and the Business and Professional Women's Club Crisis Center. He encouraged women to view the problems they face as motivation and develop their own businesses.
Next year, March, for Women's History Month, we are hoping to bring that program back and to provide an opportunity for you to grow, for you to learn services where you can learn how to make money in your house. You don't have to find a job outside. We can have the opportunity for you to take your skills. Because some of you have been laid off, and I've heard, I listened to the Prime Minister. I spoke at Barbados Comes to Atlanta in May. And the focus of that was to help Barbados become an entrepreneurial nation.
One government minister is warning Barbadians to start working for what they want instead of depending on handouts. Education Minister Ronald Jones, speaking at a graduation ceremony, says it's a culture that must stop if the nation is to honor its motto of pride and industry.
Too many persons waiting on others to give them sustenance, to give them life. You can't do that, because you don't even know the other person's condition. Oh, poor me must disappear. There's still opportunities to be gained. The negativity as we approach 50 must disappear.
He encouraged the graduating class of the Samuel Jackman Prescott Polytechnic to study and work hard in order to get what they want in life.
There's some people believe that today they can work for $80 a day, $400 a week. Man, that little piece of foolish money. But if you have zero and begging, sides of your mouth beginning to crack, and you go and work honestly for $80, $90, or $100, the crack in your mouth will be sealed.
Over to the Youth Parliament now, and leader of government business there, Roshana Trim, wants the island to do all it can to reduce the possibility of corruption among its political leaders. One way of doing this, she says, is to limit the amount of money private donors can give to political parties. She was speaking on a resolution for the urgent and necessary task of re-engineering, rebuilding and restructuring all aspects of society and economy with the objective of creating a more just and equitable society.
Elected leaders who come to power with substantial expectations on their shoulders after intense campaigning in which they promise substantial national development can never be immune from giving away our future to the persons that paid for their campaigns. Madam President, there must be a limit on the amount of money that private donors can give to these parties. Moreover, there must be a public review of tenders during the party's term to allow for the public to be able to see that there was fairness in the distribution of government contracts.
Well, the Youth Parliament's opposition leader is advising government to invest more in young people. Crystal Hoyt believes not enough is being done for the youth. Using sports as an example, she says Jamaica reaps the benefit of investing in infrastructure that supports young athletes, allowing them to dominate on the world stage.
When we talk about the Olympics, you can't talk about Olympics without talking about Jamaica. Jamaica, home of Usain Bolt, a country which dominates in the world track and field. They have not one, but several international stadiums. Their athletes bring home gold. Our athletes don't bring home anything at this given point, but who is to blame? Do we have a stadium of international standard? Our stadium is barely of inter-school standard with its crumbling stands. Is that the Barbados on 50th anniversary that we speak of? A Barbados that cares about culture, sports and youth?
Time for a break now, but when we come back, regional and international news. Stay with us.